Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Civilian SpaceX Updates. Today, I am joined by a very special guest. Today, I am with Yoan from Starship3D. Can you introduce yourself?
Hey, yeah, how you doing? I'm the creator of Starship3D. Basically since 2020, like the end of 2020, I've been designing replicas of Starship meant to be 3D printed. And that's basically it. That's what I do. So from SN8 up to SN15, that's all the model I've been designing so far.
Without further ado, let's go to the first question. What got you interested in Starship?
I started watching what SpaceX was doing with the Falcon 9, and the Falcon LV and all those things like that. And I started to get to watch Team Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, and see what he was doing. And I had learned a bit of the BFR back in the day, and then I started to watch the it was the Starhopper launch on Teams Dot video. And then from there, I discovered NASA space flight forums, and I discovered the picture of Marys and all stuff like that. So I started to follow all those things every day, see how how the development of Starship was going, and I got hooked. And since then, it's been basically an everyday hobby. It's just looking at what they were doing over there. It's something different. Like you get something new basically every day compared to the regular launch providers and projects. It's way much more on the open. You get so much more things that makes you hooked right away. It's I think that's what got me hooked with Starship, is that it's the fact you get so many pictures on how it's built, and it's quite interesting to see how a rocket is built and designed from the start.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I agree that absolutely just pure spirals. Like you start watching like Tim Dodd, NASA spaceflight, it just turns into an obsession. For me, I was pretty much the same. I started in 2020.
I stayed there. It's like it was kind of the beginning of the pandemic too, so we had kind of much more time at home, and they were doing their weekly update. I think I also discovered Marcus House and Felix, and yeah, it was interesting to see and to get weekly update on what's going on out there. Like I know Team Dot we're doing way much more video that he's doing now, like way shorter videos, but he had like quite an interesting content that got me hooked. So
I agree that Starbase is just like the most documented, most photographed place in Texas. Live cameras everywhere.
yeah, it's I don't see anything. I don't see anything like it, like that is so easy to get pictures from, because I'm mainly working from pictures, video also, but I don't see any other places in the space industry where you can get so much information, which is why Starship is so easy to design.
A little bit on the same, like the kind of development kind of phase. How long did your first Starship model take to develop versus now?
The first one were a bit faster to design. Like I was still learning quite a lot in 3D printing and how to design it, but they were less detailed than the SN15. I think I probably worked like 2-3 months on the first one, and so I had like a first really basic design that was my SN8 V1, and then I did the SN8 V2, was way more detailed. And I think it was 2-3 months on this one, and then from SN8 I made SN9, 10, and 11. Which were really like just slight update from it.
How many hours of printing does actually one model take in assembly after that?
So it's like you can see I started in November 2020, and in June 2021 I started to work on SN15. So it's like 8 months or like actually 5 model, 8 months in 5 model. And SN15, for comparison, it was one model in 9 months. So yeah, there's like an increase in the amount of work.
Like for example, I've well two printers, yeah, two printers, and like I also sell stuff, and it's just like that trade off of like speed but quality. So you're not like rushing orders and putting out crappy quality, but not too slow where you're struggling with time. Yeah, you do eventually find that mix though. I think.
Yeah, it definitely a trade-off. Like you can't. I could go a bit faster. Like the people have tried to print the my Starship a bit faster than I recommend, and you see the difference. I personally can see the difference between what I can do with printing slow and printing just even a bit faster. It does make a huge difference. And I remember seeing people, having issues to print even different model from Starship, not my own, and asking, okay, I got those problems. Well, how can I fix that? And I say, try to print slower because you're printing way too fast, even faster than default speed. Try to bring it slower and then fixing their issues. So I do believe in like printing slow makes good print.
How many 3D printers do you actually have?
I got 4 printers now. I started with one, really, really low quality one. And then I retired that printer to buy a Creality CR10 V3 that I highly recommend. It's really good printers. I bought a second one, and then I bought a Prusa MK3, which is like an amazing printer. And then not long ago, I bought a second Prusa MK3 because it's amazing printer. So I got 4.
I've got a Neptune 3 on pre-order, and I've got a G-Tech A20 that I use.
Do you like them?
Yeah, the G-Tech's been pretty reliable. I had a Ender 3 before, and I was just breaking parts every single week. And the Neptune 3 looks like a brick, so that looks a really good for the budget printer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's also the things, it's sometimes it's hard. Like it's always better. Lots of people wants to have like the cheapest printer ever and get the highest quality they can get. It's hard. It's really hard to get like good quality print with like a really cheap printers. Most of the time they're gonna break and they're not gonna give you consistent good results. So it's like everything is you need to put a bit of money into it. Like the CR10 V3, it's like a 500 USD I think printer. So it's not the first price of the market, but it's a really good printer. Like I haven't really fixed anything on it. I just did maintenance on it. So you're gonna replace some bearings, but it's other than that, it just like print really well, and really good. It's been my prototyping printers. I want to try something quick and nerdy. I'll try this one because I'll know she'll give me like a good average result fast with no issues. But if I really want like higher quality print, I'll go with the Prusa.
I see a lot of people kind of like dismiss Creality, like 'cause some of the quality control on Ender 3's been quite bad, I would say. Like quality control can sometimes be a problem with Creality, but I've saw no problems with those like big format printers such as the CR10. So let's move on. What was the hardest part of starting Starship 3D?
The hardest part was everything else but designing. I really like the and 3D printing. I really like 3D printing. I really like designing. It's it could be painful, lots of pain in the designing, but I've done that. I'm doing that because I like it. It's all the business related things that have been really hard, like starting the company, getting a website going, the taxes after the first year, and then all the thing that I'm not necessarily it's the Starship is designing is hard but enjoyable because you like it. The business side of beside it is hard and not really enjoyable, and it's all the part behind that doesn't give you satisfaction at all. It's like it's it's something that you need to be able to sell whatever you want.
Have you got a job beside this, or is this your full-time job?
Yeah, the Starship is just like a hobby on the side, and then I had to do all the things to be able to sell legally my product. But yeah, I have a job, a full-time job on the side. It still give me quite a bit of freedom which allowed me to work quite a bit on Starship. But yeah, I have a job.
Has any SpaceX employees bought your models? It must make you pretty proud if they do.
I have heard that uh, one of my model SN8 have been brought to Hanthorn to show the the engineer over there. So some people have been they've been impressed by my work. So I know that's I've been told I've been told that. So I know some SpaceX engineer have been I've seen my model. Yeah, it's nice. I like that.
Would you ever consider mass production?
I thought about it. I just don't think I'm there. Like I'm there yet. It's like if I wanted to have like bigger production, um, I'll probably have to quit my job, which I don't necessarily want right now. And then like you're committed to it, right? And right now, if I just want to stop, I know I'll make some people sad, but I can just stop and keep my life going. I don't care if it doesn't work. I don't care if I don't make money. You know, it's like I have. It's fine. It's a hobby, and so now I'm going full production. Now it's like you're committed to it, and you have to make sure your products that you can sell your product. So it's a bit harder. I don't think I have that in my mind now. I don't even know if I'll be open to get approached by some company that would like to have it produced in high quality, because I don't know, it gets hard and kind of gets out of your hand. It's someone else going to deal with your product, and then you don't know how it's going to be dealt with, or whatever. So no, I haven't really. It's just a thought in corner of my head, but it seemed to be way too hard for me to handle that by myself. So
Can you explain for me what your research process is for a new model? How many hours do you spend looking at photos, looking at even documents, for example?
The main document is like pictures. I try to get as many pictures as I can, a lot. Like every time I see a picture of a Starship, I save it on my computer. So I have like thousands of pictures on my computer right now, from SN8 all the way to I think we start to see some part of SN26, I think. And the booster is the same thing. So I got as many pictures as I can, and then the process is like looking at every corner, every tiny bit of the Starship to see how it's built, like trying to pay attention as much as I can to every tiny bit of detail, and try to understand how the ship works also. Because sometimes you'll see a pipe, and if you don't try to understand what that pipe could be, well, you might not even like try to design it, because you're not going to design it right, or just because it you don't have the big picture of it. So I try to understand that. That works really well with spending lots of time on different discords. Try to exchange theory and stuff like that with other people. So the community is really important. Like I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. I started like that, but I wouldn't be able to do it now if it was not for the community. You need to be there and exchange information to understand how the ship is made and design. So and then it's a question of like working with ratios. So you need to measure on the pictures. You need to have like starting points, so we know how high are the barrels, like the ring barrels. There's some other known dimension you can use, and from the pictures you just take measurements and you build your ship like that. But it's the attention of detail. Like you need to pay attention to every detail to be able to replic them. Otherwise, you're gonna miss something, and you're gonna lose that quality of like of replication. So yeah, it's lots of work behind. It's lots of work. Even before finishing SN15, I was already looking at SN20 to see how it was made. So it's an ongoing project.
How many prototypes on average do you have before you have a final product?
I never keep track of that, but it's a lot. I did learn with time to not necessarily print a wall part. Like if I'm designing a new barrel, and there's like one specific detail I want to it, it's actually cut the part to only print the part of the that has the detail on it. So I can save some time like that and some filament by just printing that tiny corner of the ship that has a specific detail. In the past, I've done it differently, where I was printing the whole barrel, and it was taking lots of time and lots of trial and stuff like that. So it's a lot. I have lots of waste, lots of waste. But I don't keep track on that, and depends of what part of the ship I'm doing.
Have you ever considered selling products outside of Starship?
Yeah, well, I'd love to do other stuff. I'd like to do a Saturn V, like highly detailed Saturn V will be quite cool, I have to say. I wouldn't mind doing other rockets, the Ariane 5 or uh, the Vulcan, something that there's other pretty neat rocket that I would like to do. The problem is like the level of detail. I think the Saturn V could be nice because there's enough documentation out there that you can actually make like pretty good replica of it. Yeah, I'd like to. If I have like a second life, I'd like to do it. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna be pretty busy with Starship for a while. So
Where do you see your business in 5 years?
hopefully still doing it. You never know what life becomes in the future, but probably still, hopefully still doing it. And by then we'll have like other Starship design. Who knows? We may have like who knows? We'll probably have like a tanker and then like a better another cargo ship, not just Starship, but actually cargo ship with like a big payload or and like a crew, maybe a crew Starship. So it'll be interesting to actually spend more time in the nose cone with like payloads, and I wouldn't mind to design a Starship with like a cargo Starship with like a door that actually open and be able to put like an actual design payload inside. That would be pretty cool.
Do you ever see a point where Starship is so complex that your models have to be scaled back slightly, where you have to leave out certain small details?
Well, the Raptor is one of them. Is it's so the detail is so tiny. Then if you want to be people everybody to be able to do it, you have to simplify the design. But the whole Starship is based on a simplification, just because of the limitation of a 3D printers. I wouldn't be able to design a Starship like Ryan Hansen designed a Starship, because he goes all the way to the tenth or the hundredth of a millimeters in precision. I can't do that, and there's no point. So my Starship um, are a replica of a real Starship to a certain point, because you can't design super fine detail. They wouldn't come out of the printer very well. So somehow I have to simplify my Starship. It's just a game. Like, it's, if you 3D print something, and depending on the scale you use, you have to simplify your thing. So my replica is, because I don't have the blueprint anyway. So it's a replica with because some of a grain of salt is like, it's as close as you can do it, make it from pictures and from theory and guesses and stuff like that. So we will never get the blueprint of the Starship. And so it is. But it's like, when you look at it, it's like, I try to have like everything at the good position, and then the COPVs and all other equipment. I try to have them as close as possible as the real one.
Quick 3D printing question: what layer height do you use?
Oh, it changed quite a bit, and I try to stay to the same one depending on the scale. So it's point 12 for the small Starship, because you use like a smaller nozzle. So it's a 0.3 millimeter nozzle, and 0.12 millimeters layer height. And then for the bigger one, the bigger Starship is, so I printed with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, and I go to 0.15 for the layer height. And that's like the layer height. It's not easily linked to the level of detail. I don't think it needs to matter that much. but it's mainly for domes. That's my secret. I won't say more than that, but it's mainly for the domes that it's primarily for the dome. Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, you reduce some of the layer line, but yeah, for the dome, the problem with the dome is is you need to have enough overlay between the layers, because I don't use supports, so you want to make sure that the next layer is supported by the previous one when you print your domes, and that's the layer height is really important there.
Right, final question. When do you think the orbital flight will take place?
Um, I would say before the end of the year. I don't think it'll be as early as Elon Musk say it, because we all know that Elon Musk is always like giving uh, um, dates that are way too short, like way too soon. But I would think like before the end of the year. They always end up having issues and stuff like that, which is kind of normal with a prototype. Um, but before the end of the year, I say if we can get it something in around like October or November, that sounds like realistic to me. Because they have like two booster, B7 and B8, but there's tests. There's always something that's not gonna work out, and then um, like we did when we saw on the last with that big explosion there. So there's always something that goes wrong. So October, November seems to be pretty fair to me.
My guess is kind of September, I think. Late September.
Yeah, September. Yeah, yeah. It's September is also like another. Well, I don't think like August. Like we're mid June now, mid July. Um, yeah, August is a bit tight. September could work. Um, I see more October, November. We'll see.
Thanks for joining us. We'll link in the description your page. Anything else to say?
Yeah, please follow the people follow me. It's a bit slower now for my design, but I'm still designing, and I'm working on a B7 and Ship 24. I moved into a new house, so it's like I got new project now to going on. But it's the design is there and it's going on, and I'll come sometime next year, 2023. So that's about it. Hopefully, all you guys will be around to see it.
And that is it for today's Civilian SpaceX updates. A huge thanks to Yoan for the interview, and Starship3D will be linked to the description below, along with the links for social media channels and Patreon. My name is Jack. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Ad Astra.